Are Shades any good in patch 5.0? Don't worry, this video will touch on all the versions. The use of the Shades variants changes somewhat, but the basic stuff is all there. Shades are Dark Elf rogues that stalk and have armor-piercing crossbows, so they're emphatically not mirror images of Shadow Warriors, but that's okay. They're nasty in ways skulkers can only dream of. Recruited for 950 gold and 238 upkeep. The base Shades come in at 80 entities on Ultra, with 6,720 health shared between them. Armor is 30, which is quite light. Leadership is 68, so they're not going to hold the fort very well. Speed is 42, very nimble. Charge speed 49. Melee attack starts out at 40, with an attack interval of 4.5. This is on the high side for interval, which is a little bad, but rogues must have swift animations, yes? There's some weirdness in the embedded stats, but splash size 0 means no splash. Melee defense 32 isn't bad, but it's not great. Weapon strength of 30 isn't that high compared to a lot of units, but that's 21 base damage and 9 armor piercing, where a lot of other units would have a 7 instead. Charge bonus is 16, and mass is a slender beanpole 19. For ranged, ammunition starts at 18, which feels underwhelming, and you'll see Shades run out before most basic missile troops in the game. Range is 130, a lot less than Empire crossbows, and damage is given as a 30, with each projectile doing 3 base and 12 armor-piercing damage. But those crazy Dark Elf crossbows fire 2 projectiles per volley / unit of ammunition, so reload time of 10 means missile strength 30. Now, if all that hits, it'll really hurt. Speaking of that, total accuracy is 30, calibration distance is 95, so a decent chunk of their range, and calibration area is 3.4, which is a good deal better than the Empire crossbow. There is no penetration, however. If you're wondering, the calibration area is equal to Dark Shards and far smaller than the 5.7 of High Elf archers, which of course have extreme range working for them. But still, you can't rely on these shots any more than Dark Shards for small single targets like Skaven heroes. Against the broadside of a mammoth, that could be a different story. Besides Stalk, Shades have Vanguard Deployment, offering a lot of flexibility on offense, and benefit from murderous prowess when it procs for the army. This will increase armor-piercing missile damage, among other benefits. Now, for the dual weapons variant, here, cost rises to 1,050 to recruit and 263 upkeep, but normally 2 turns are required to recruit the elite variants, and that's an annoyance for you, and why a lot of people don't bother using them. Melee attack rises to 44, attack interval is slightly worse at 4.6, so a little bit more downtime. Melee defense drops to 30, but weapon strength goes up to 35, base 25, and AP 10, with a bonus versus infantry of 8. Charge bonus is 20, ranged is 100% identical. Now, given that the unit has Stalk and all that, this means the Gods of Light have mercy on any crossbowmen or artillery being struck by melee from behind, because the Shades will show none. Great Swords in campaign cost the same 1050 to recruit, but 288 upkeep, the result of some balance tweaking by CA. Melee attack remains 40, attack interval drops to 4.3, but perhaps reflecting longer animations. Melee defense actually rises to 34, and weapon strength becomes 36, with base 10 and 26 armor piercing, with a bonus versus infantry of 12. Charge bonus is 20. Given that neither is anti-large, why would you take dual weapons? Normally you'd say, well, because the melee attack starts out higher, but bonus versus infantry 14 covers any difference. It comes down to the slight difference in upkeep cost, and Dark Elf armies are expensive. Dual weapons are still a lot better at lightning raids on vulnerable targets than regular Shades, which aren't exactly bad, but greatswords are the most future-proof Shades for the long haul. Neither should rely on melee when crossbows in the back are available instead. Melee is either to take advantage of a target not worth the bolts, or in the situation where you have an overwhelming melee advantage, or just as likely, if not more, you're out of ammo and have no other choice if you want to salvage the battle. In the Malekith-style redline skills, Raid Leader is your go-to for Shades, offering a max of +5 melee defense, plus 12 flat charge bonus. Keep in mind, they don't have that much to start with, and plus 8% missile strength. This shores Shades up considerably, and once you're talking 32 charge bonus for the elite variants, that's a lot for infantry. Short of halberdiers with expert charge defense, you can expect that to hurt on the way in. Ravager Rewards offers rank 7 Shades plus 10 armor, plus 10% speed, and plus 15% range, which are all wonderful things since they desperately want extra range. What don't you see here? Shields, or in any meaningful boxing sense, chin. Shades believe that offense is the best defense because it's the only defense that they have. I mean, yes, they're agile, but let's not kid ourselves. They'll get bloodied in any prolonged melee that's remotely fair and balanced. Shades are there to cheat. The tech tree is an interesting affair. Naval training grants plus 2 recruit rank plus a bonus when fighting at sea. Hit and run grants plus 10% speed, plus 10% weapon strength, and reload time reduction 10%. And that last one is especially meaningful. Reworked crossbows is crucial for the Dark Elves in general, offering plus 20% ammunition and plus 15% range. Exotic Beast Hide Armor adds plus 10 armor to Shades, so you can get a max of armor 50 by normal means. Hunt Outlaws finds recruits in odd places for upkeep and recruitment cost minus 5%. Finally, No Signs of Weakness adds plus 5 leadership, which is a legitimate weak point for the unit. Now, I'm going to come out and say it right now, as an old Morathi player back when she was a Warhammer 2 challenge campaign, she grants plus 10 melee attack and plus 10 melee defense to Shades in her current state, and that gets them to a truly insane level, let alone when murderous prowess procs. So let's keep in mind she has the best Shades Doomstack, but with the way names of power work, a lucky and good one can add stupid levels of range for Shades, which makes them competitive with high elves or even superior in retaining the armor piercing. Accuracy, well, let's not worry about that too much. So, setting that aside, how do you use Shades? That's the thing. Either Stalk is going to do work for you or it's not. That depends on the enemy, the situation, and so on. You don't have full control over it. Often, you're forced to use Shades as if they're Dark Shards. And that bites because Shades are so much more expensive, and therefore on paper and for balance of power, they are more valuable. It's that massive difference in reload time that matters. Shades are just better at the Dark Shards' job than the Dark Shards themselves, absent 10 more entities and the existence of an awesome shield variant, but Dark Shards accumulate damage quickly, even with shields. So, Shades are intended to be ranged damage dealers first, foremost, and even exclusively, unless and until you generate a situation where they can get in and do damage the dirty way. This requires thinking consciously about anvils as a Dark Elf player, and that can be difficult, but you do have to do it. Be creative. Shades also share a bust with things like chariots, and chariots are fairly tough overall. A War Hydra dominating the center for you while you shoot into the blobs from the side is always a good one. These are the kinds of considerations you should have. Also, Lore of Fire gives you access to a really easy buff, granting flaming weapons and magical attacks to your ranged fire, plus just plain more damage. So be mindful of the situations where that will matter. Finally, I didn't dwell on it because it's that famous, but Dark Elf crossbows being armor-piercing gives you an amazing advantage in target priority. You don't need to settle for prioritizing halberdiers. No, go right ahead and target that steam tank. It's more than 3.5 meters wide, and both crossbow bolts should hit it from a single shade. The monstrous damage you can inflict makes armored monsters shudder. Now, of course, steam tanks are harder to damage from the front in the current patch, but still, stalk and shoot them from behind. That works. Shades only get better at ranged, and you can turn them into ridiculous engines of pain and suffering. This is exactly how you should use them. Everything else is for variety or a last resort. Ranged annihilation is the first and best option. The fact Shades can pitch in with the rest makes them better, but it's the crossbow damage that makes them good. Take care, and have fun ravaging inland! Let the Corsairs handle the coast. The night is for the Shades.